Hello everyone, this is Just a Dad. Today I'm going to do a detailed review on this Cuisinart DCC3000. They still sell this. It's selling for about $100 right now. But this is a little different coffee maker. It's a brew station. So you don't have your typical coffee pot. It's going to brew the coffee and keep it in a reservoir in here. And then when you're ready, you can dispense it down below. So it's a little different way. It's got this fuel gauge. That's kind of like the selling factor of this, I think. Everybody likes that coffee fuel gauge. It's got a kind of a small LED display. It is backlit though, so that's nice. But a really nice feature with this is that keeps its time. I had this unplugged for maybe 5-10 minutes, and I came back, plugged it in. It still kept the time and the program time. So I have not seen that in a coffee maker yet. So overall, my first impression with this is it's big. So make sure you've got some room for these. It's got a water reservoir on the side. A lot of the reviews that I looked at said the water reservoir is kind of hard to get off. It's got this lid. You know, I always recommend with these reservoirs, especially on Keurigs and stuff, maybe fill them up with a separate container. Because this one, it did get cracked from taking it on and off so much. But it does have a little bit of a handle, you know, and you can carry it. That's a pretty decent one. And then it's got this big ledge that it goes on. But it's got a yeah. So you got to kind of make sure it hugs the wall when you put it on. It's got a standard cord, no real cord storage. 2-prong cord. Does have a charcoal filter. That's really nice. Cuisinart's really good with charcoal filters. So you're going to change it. You can get these off of Amazon. When you get a new one, you're going to put it in, run it under water for about 5-10 minutes. You're going to have some charcoal dust. But it's got an area that it sits in down there. Holds it really nice and firm. If it's not held firm, these things will float. So that's got a really nice firm holding for it. Then you got your lid. So you're going to lift the top up here. So here's your brew head. And it comes with a permanent filter. I like to use paper filters. So let's take that filter out. There's the brew basket. It does have a little handle. And then here's the different part. So it's going to brew, this is where it's going to keep the coffee. And when you press the lever down here, or this lever, it's going to come out down here. So this is, you know, I'm not sure whether I like this way or not, but it is a really nice coffee maker. That's going to be your heating element down there. My only complaint with these is they're just a little harder to clean. So you've got this big container now. So this is going to hold the coffee. Okay, you can take it out, set it down. That's what's going to heat inside that coffee container. So, and then that's down there is where the coffee comes out. So this is my only complaint, is these are kind of big. These are just a little unruly to kind of clean. That's what gives the indication for full. It moves a little lever. See, right now it's reading full because I got it out. But there's a little, as the water goes up, you'll see this lever goes up, and that's what makes the dial read. But so that's my only complaint, is these are a little harder to clean. You know, that's where the coffee comes out. So we'll put this back in. You know, some people, they love these, and it's just kind of big. I think they like the part that they, you know, you can just come up here, grab a cup of coffee, and then you're ready to go. So the filter basket, when you do go to empty the filter basket, you know, it is going to leak a little bit, but it does have a nice handle. It's just going to drip on you as you go over to the coffee or the garbage can. So as you can see, it's pretty tall. That's what you know, and you do need to kind of you do need the lid to stay open so that you can do your work, get your stuff in and out. So this is not going to fit under any standard cabinets. You know, it's over 24.5 inches tall. That's pretty tall for a coffee maker. Now it just sits without the lid open, about 14.5 inches. But if you come over here, so standard cabinets are about 19, 18.5 inches from the countertop. So front to back, you're looking at about 11 inches. They're not super wide, you know, about 9 inches. So this is a 12 cup coffee maker. So for a 12 cup coffee maker, this is actually a pretty big appliance. So just so you know what you're getting into. I'm going to close the lid. So again, let's talk the front of it. It is nice. It's got a nice, you can see exactly how much water you've got added. If you want to just brew a pot of coffee, you're going to put this is a dial. It doesn't go all the way around. It kind of stops there and there. So if you want to just brew a pot of coffee, you're going to put it on brew. You're going to put the dial on brew, and then you're just going to hit this on off button, and that starts the process. And then I'm going to stop it. So it does have a really nice blue light. Again, this display is small, but it is backlit, but it only has a PM indicator. So let's say we want to set the clock. We're going to put the dial on clock. We're going to hold this until they start flashing. Okay, they're flashing, so it's 5. And you can do the minutes. Again, there's only a PM indicator. So it's 5:39 PM. And after a minute, it's going to stop flashing and locked in. So now we go back to brew. So now say we want to program it for in the morning. We want to wake up. So we're going to switch it over to program. The minutes are flashing, hours. Again, we're going to set it. Okay, so it stopped flashing. So now I got to hold it. So I want to do this at 7:15 AM. Now make sure you don't have the PM light lit. Give yourself about 15-20 minutes to brew a 12 pot cup of coffee. Now there's one more step you got to do. So that's the time it's going to start. You got to turn this to auto brew, but you got to do one more step even more. You got to hit this on off button. Now that's going to light the green light. That green light's on steady. That tells you that that is going to start at the time you have programmed. So make sure you got your water and your coffee ready to go, because it's going to start. Now say you forgot what time you wanted to start it and you want to check what time it's going to start. If you turn this dial back to program, it tells you what time it's going to start, 7:15 AM. But when I go back to auto, it turned it off. So I got to make sure and hit that button again. But let's say I want to sleep in the morning. I'm just going to come here and hit that, and that turns the auto off. Even though I've got the switch in the auto on position, it's not going to start unless that green light's on. So let's talk auto off. So auto off is how long after it's done brewing the pot of coffee or the thing of coffee, how long do you want that to stay warm inside there? You can go all the way up to 4 hours. So you're going to set that by putting this in auto off. And you got to hold the button until it starts flashing. Okay, so there's 0, and I can even set the minutes. So say I just wanted to keep it on for 15 minutes or 1 hour and 18 minutes. Anywhere between 0 and 4 hours. So if I try to go, 3 hours and, 30 minutes, and then I'll stop flashing, and it's going to memorize that until you change it, unless it is without power for a really long time. So if your clock is flashing, you're probably going to have to change the auto off too. And we're just going to put it back to brew. Now you do have this clean button, so that may start flashing at you. That means you've got to run some vinegar through here and descale that heating element on the inside in order to get that clean light to go away. And I'm going to do a separate video on how to clean this machine. There's a 1 to 4 cup brew, so when you press that, the red light comes on, but it doesn't brew it. You still have to press the on off button. Now, what they say about the 1 to 4 cup, so that's if you're running a really small amount of water. It says it heats the water up a little bit more to extract a little more flavor out of a small brew. And then we're going to leave it just in the brew position, because we're just going to come up here and brew a pot of coffee by hitting this on and off button. That's how we're going to brew our pot of coffee. So another neat little feature is there's a little light. So when you press down to dispense your coffee, there's a little LED light. That's just really neat. So it does have a really nice drip tray. And this drip tray even has like a little indicator. So as this fills up with water, this thing kind of floats. And you'll see it popping up out of your tray. So when this thing starts floating and popping up, that means it's time to empty your drip tray. And it's even going to get a little bit of water from inside the machine. So it's not only catching the drips from the dispenser side, but there's also a little port that goes inside the coffee machine. There must be a little area inside there that drips too. So let's talk size of this area where you can see just a normal mug takes up quite a bit of the room. So you have about maybe 5.5 inches with the drip tray, but you can take the drip tray out, and it does give you a little bit more room, maybe about 7 inches. And so this nozzle does stick down a little bit, so you don't get quite 7 inches. So like this is kind of a travel mug, and I can't get it underneath here, you know. And this travel mug is right at 6 3/4. So it's going to have to be smaller than that to get your travel mug in there. So I could see that where that would be a problem. This is pretty common for a travel mug size, but okay. So let's brew a pot of coffee. I'm going to do the 12 cups. I've got the water reservoir already filled up. This takes a basket style filter. So I'm going to start using these baskets. So 8 to 12 basket cup filter. It does not come with filters, so make sure you put filters in it. If this is your first time using it, you're going to want to run this water through it on a normal brew with no coffee in there. And then you'll just throw out that water. Then it's ready to do a normal brew. So let's say we've already done that. And again, you can use the reusable filter it comes with. I like to use paper ones. We're going to put it in there, the filter. Make sure it kind of hugs the wall. Now the manual says that this can take 1 tablespoon of coffee grounds per brewing cup that you're going to brew. So I'm going to put 12 of these tablespoons of just normal ground coffee in here, and we're going to brew a pot of coffee. Now it says you can use up to 16 tablespoons, but that's pretty strong coffee. I'm just going to put 12 in here. You just put them right in the middle. 3. Okay, so now I've got my coffee in 12 tablespoons. I'm going to close the lid because that's where the hot water is going to come out. And that's what's going to brew the coffee. So it just closes. It doesn't really snap. It does have a vent back here. We're going to get some steam. So then we're just going to come up here. We've got it on brew. We're just going to hit the on-off button. That little blue light comes on. That's really nice. I'm going to time this, and we're going to see how long it takes. So this machine does not use a pump. I don't hear a pump working. You do get a few bubbles that come up here. I think this is just like a standard coffee maker. It's going to heat that water somewhere in here, and then it's going to percolate it up through the brew head on top of the coffee grounds. Yeah, that's what it's doing. Okay, so it's been about 6 minutes. We're down to the 5 cup mark. The lever's coming up. That's really cool how that fuel lever kind of comes up. And we're going to lift this up just to kind of see how the brew process is going. Okay, so it's not overflowing the filter basket. That's really good. I've not had a Cuisinart yet that overflows the filter basket. The top doesn't even get too hot. Sides aren't too hot, so it's a pretty quiet coffee maker too. The percolator action is not super loud. So towards the end of the brew process, it does get a little loud, and you do get quite a bit of steam coming out around this. But this never really gets super hot. But it does kind of warp a little bit. So that took 10 minutes. This is a little faster than a standard percolator coffee maker. And it's gone through, the water's pretty well drained out of the coffee grounds. It did an excellent job on the coffee grounds. So I'm kind of impressed with this. 10 minutes for 12 cups, that's pretty impressive. So it does beep at you when it's done. You get 5 small little beeps to let you know that the brew process is completely finished. And again, now this is going to keep the coffee hot in here according to wherever you had this auto offsetting. But if you were done, because like the on light is on now, so after, I think we've got it set for 3 hours and 31 minutes. So after 3 hours and 31 minutes, that off light would go out. Okay, so this is what this coffee maker is all about. Let's dispense some coffee. Comes out real nice and shuts off. You know, that's pretty nice to operate. There you go. Now let's check that coffee for temperature. That's 165. That's a standard pot of coffee. That's really good. That's a very good tasting cup of coffee. Cuisinart. So there's those beeps I was telling you about. They're not super loud, but they're just 5 little beeps to let you know that the coffee maker's done. So that's a good tasting cup of coffee. So I want you to see if you can see the light. When I press down, yeah, it's not super bright, but it is kind of neat. If it was really dark, you could see it. Kind of, yeah, it shines on your coffee. That's pretty cool. And then it's got the fuel gauge kind of goes down as you dispense coffee. I'm just going to dispense a bunch so you can kind of watch it go down. You know, it doesn't really give you a reading of where it's at, but I guess straight up and down would be about halfway through. So we still got some coffee in there. Let's take a look again at the brew basket. So that did a really good job, but if we'd want to let this cool off to throw that away, but you would lift that up, but it is going to just drip on you a little bit. But see, that's where the coffee is kept. That's what makes this coffee maker so different. It's got like a reservoir it keeps it in. And then that warming plate at the bottom keeps it nice and hot. Just curious. Yeah, and the reservoir keeps it about 177. So they don't recommend lifting this up with coffee in it. You know, they want you to dispense the coffee out and then take it over and clean it. And it does brew whatever amount of water you put in the reservoir. That's what it brews. So let's say you wanted to do 8 cups you wanted to just do 8 cups in the reservoir. You would fill it up to the 8 cup mark, and you would only put 8 tablespoons of coffee grounds in. And then when you press the start button, it would brew just those 8 cups. And same all the way if you want to do 11, 6. Now they say when you do this 1 to 4, it's got this 1 to 4 switch. When you do less than 4, you want to hit that switch. And then you would just put that amount of water in and 4 tablespoons of coffee grounds in. You would come over here, you'd hit the switch, that light would come on, and then you'd turn that on. That would brew it. So back up here, I just see this is very well designed. I'm very impressed with the filter basket. Hamilton Beach makes one of these. It's not very good. Hamilton Beaches just tend to be a little cheaper. Cuisinart, it's just been they've been making some really good coffee makers. Their coffee makers look different. I think that's what surprises people is they got big knobs and like this fuel gauge and, you know, just like, oh, what is this? Is this a coffee maker, you know? But they actually make really good coffee makers. They're very well built. I'm very impressed with how this reservoir is. Like I said, the Hamilton Beach one just did not work very well at all. It just felt like it was made cheap. This feels like it's made very well. There is a lot of plastic. It does have metal, but it just feels like it's made really, really well. Same with up here. You know, the lid does close. I think it just gets super hot and it kind of warps up a little bit, but that's okay. So let's go over cleanup. I recommend dispensing the fluid and not, like I said, not taking this over to the sink. You know, it doesn't drip on you, so that's good. You can carry it with liquid in it, but there's just no good way of pouring it out of this thing. You know, it does have a little lip there. Let's go try that. So you can pour it out of this container. There is a little hole there. it's a little awkward to hold, and it is kind of hot, but you could pour it out. Again, I don't recommend this. There was quite a bit of steam coming up through this hole here, you know, with this coffee being really hot. So I recommend if you have leftover coffee, you know, just hit. And you can see the fuel gauge is going down to E. Running low on fuel. Coffee is fuel. Okay, so there it is. Nothing's coming out. And so it does get, for the most part, it does get, you know, there's a little bit of coffee in there. But it does get it. It does a really good job of getting it out. So cleanup, I've never really had to clean down in here. Just once in a while, you got some coffee. You can see kind of, so that's mainly just steam kind of spilling down there. Okay, so now cleanup with this. I've got the coffee dispensed out of it. It didn't have any coffee grounds in there, so that's good. But you can see how, you know, I'm not going to put this in the dishwasher just because I don't think all the water would drain out of it. So you're going to have to kind of get a scrubby brush once in a while. I mean, you could rinse this out, and about every third time I would wash this out. But this is so, like a normal coffee pot is pretty simple. You can throw it in the dishwasher and it cleans up pretty good. That's where this, you know, you got to really want one of these machines because this can be kind of a hassle. These parts, these three parts, this is the filter basket. These are all dishwasher safe, top rack. So a nice feature is, you know, a lot of coffee makers, it's hard to clean the water reservoir. You know, this one with a brush, you can actually clean this water reservoir really good. So there are some good benefits to this. Because some coffee makers, it's the water reservoir's in the back and it's really hard to kind of clean it. But I can take this out, I can wash this, scrub this really well. So again, this is just a dad. This is a really nice coffee maker other than it's just kind of big. And it just kind of holds the coffee in a different spot than a normal coffee pot. Now, to me, a coffee pot is just a little easier to clean, a little easier to deal with. But this is definitely a nice coffee maker. If you could, leave your comments down below. I check my comments on a daily basis. If there's a coffee maker you want me to review, or if there's something you want me to add to this video, I can try. I hope this video helps. That's the intention of my videos. I've been doing a lot of coffee maker reviews and Keurig K-Cafe drink reviews. So if you could, please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.